The weather can be strange at the best of times. Rain, snow, hail, and other ordinary forms of precipitation can be troublesome. But can you imagine if such things as fish, spiders, and even blood started raining down from above? Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Thump. This video is going to detail some of the downright strange things that have fallen from the sky. If you're not yet a part of the Thump family, subscribe to our channel for the best content. And don't forget to like this video if you found it interesting and want more. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Number 10. Fish. I've heard of flying fish, but falling fish? The sight of fish falling from the sky might freak you out, and although it is certainly bizarre, it's not as uncommon as you might think. Actually, there's a perfectly scientific reason behind it. Especially in coastal areas, stormy weather can create a waterspout, which is like a tornado phenomenon that can suck up fish and other marine life out of bodies of water like lakes and oceans. Then, the wind will carry the fish inland, where they will then come tumbling down to the ground. This has been documented in such places as Australia and Mexico. In certain places, locals will even celebrate the fish rain. The small Honduran village of Yoro celebrates the rain of fish at least once per year. Number 9. Frogs. Another creature that can fall victim to waterspouts, just like fish, are frogs. There are reports in both ancient and modern times of frogs and toads tumbling from the heavens. An ancient Greek philosopher, Heraclides Lembus, wrote about instances where many frogs tumbled from the sky, that the houses and roads have been full of them. In 2005, residents of Adzaki in Serbia saw absolutely thousands of frogs fall from passing storm clouds. Sometimes the lengthy fall will sadly kill the critters. However, most of the time they will just simply get up, hop away, and go and look for some water to chill out in after their exciting adventure. Number 8. Iguanas. Unlike their amphibious friends, iguanas that have been reported to fall from the sky were not victims of waterspouts. Instead, this scientific phenomenon may be even more bizarre. In southern Florida, back in winter 2018, there was a brutal bomb cyclone that brought with it a weird side effect: iguana rain. The temperature dropped so low that the cold-blooded creatures' bodily functions shut down entirely. Whilst technically still alive, they were completely still and unresponsive. Well, that meant that they could no longer hold on to their tree branches and would end up tumbling out of the trees, alarming many of the Florida residents. Whilst maybe not falling quite as far as the fish and the frogs, I'm sure this was rough for the poor iguanas. Number 7. Golf balls. You've probably heard or even seen occurrences of golf ball-sized hailstone. But what about actual golf balls? Well, news reports recount these very things falling straight down from the sky. Again, in Florida in 1969. Perhaps even stranger than that is none of the local golf courses reported any cases of their golf balls being missing. The reasons behind this one were never entirely confirmed, but most experts theorized that all the golf balls were likely sucked up by a waterspout that had been hit into the water by errant golfers. I wouldn't like to be walking down the street and have one of those hit me on the head. 4. Number 6. Spiders. If you're an arachnophobe, this would be your absolute worst nightmare. The horror show that is a rain of spiders is not actually as uncommon as you might think, unfortunately. This happened back in 2015 in Australia. Why are there so many creepy crawlies in Oz? And then, even more recently reported in Brazil in 2019. Unlike the other living things that have fallen from the sky, the spiders were not yanked from their homes due to violent storms. This happens due to a process called ballooning, where the spiders produce filaments to launch themselves up into the air. The reason they do this is to try to attempt to catch an air current to travel to a new location. This is something that they do often. Think of it like a free ride in the sky for them to move large distances with extraordinarily little effort. So, why aren't spider rains more common, do you ask? Well, it is very uncommon for lots of spiders to do this all at the same time. The weather conditions have to be absolutely perfect for a mass ballooning that produces a spider rain. Number 5. Coffee additives. This one is an odd one, but I'd much prefer coffee additives over raining spiders any day. In 1969, a South Carolina factory producing the non-dairy creamer Primora, was struggling with malfunctioning air vents. The vents all clogged up, and this allowed the powder mixture to leak out into the air. This then mixed with falling rain and fell into a sticky, gloopy mess all over the town of Borden, South Carolina. The company responsible for this had to pay a fine of $4,000 for making such a mess and being irresponsible, but not until over 20 years later after the incident in 1991. I mean, I love creamer as much as the next person, but imagine this stuff falling all over your home and car. Ew. Number 4. Meat. Could one of my favourite Pixar movies, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, be real life? Sadly, not quite. This meat train was less meatballs and more weird chunks of meat, and you probably wouldn't want to eat it. Well, perhaps you would, because 2 residents of Olympian Springs, Kentucky, actually did try the odd flakes of meat that fell down from the sky. The men reported that the meat tasted like mutton or venison. Although the cause of this was never proven, a chemistry professor proclaimed that it was likely due to a flock of vultures flying by and either accidentally dropping or disgorging their latest meal. Number 3. Money. Now we're talking. If I could choose for it to rain anything, I would 100% choose money. Raining money has occurred quite a few times throughout the course of history, and some of them quite recently. One example, in 2015, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of the UAE's dirham currency showered over Kuwait City. One time, in Serbia, a plane carrying gold and diamonds spilled its cargo over the runway back in 2018. Back in the US, Indianapolis experienced a similar phenomenon in 2017, when an electrician noticed $200 worth of bills blowing off a roof where he was working. Sometimes, like in the incidents in Kuwait and Indianapolis, the origin behind the mystery cash is never uncovered, leaving residents and law enforcement scratching their heads. I hope one day that I get to experience some mystery money falling from the sky. There ain't nothing like some free money, right? Number 2. Space junk. Okay, so I suppose that this one actually makes a bit more sense. Space junk is something that is expected to be in the sky in the first place. On occasion, numerous satellites and technology that is suspended in orbit ends up losing its steam, then inevitably tumbles towards the Earth. As a matter of fact, an entire model space station, Tiangong-1, is currently in the process of hurtling towards Earth's surface. Usually, if the machinery does survive re-entry into our atmosphere, it will splinter into tiny pieces. That means that the falling debris will not pose any kind of danger to individuals on Earth. According to one recent study, your odds of winning the Powerball are 1,000,000 times greater than getting hit by space debris. So, the chances of going about your day and part of a satellite coming crashing down on you are infinitesimal. Number 1. Blood. Or is it? It sounds like something straight out of the scene of a horror movie, or a biblical sign of the end of days. But Zamora, a city in northwest Spain, did actually experience this super strange phenomenon that resembled a real-life blood rain. This red-coloured liquid falling from the sky looked exactly like blood, according to the Zamora residents. And this had a lot of people totally freaked out and guessing the origins. However, it turns out that rain that resembles blood is a totally natural occurrence. The red colouring of the rain happens when a type of microalgae plant that produces a red pigment when it is in a state of stress. Scientists believe that this is what happened, and the plant's spores got trapped in the rain clouds. The odd part is, though, that this particular species of algae is not native to this area of Spain, so scientists are still a little baffled at how they travelled and ended up pouring down on Zamora. Well, the fact that it wasn't actually blood is a little reassuring. I'm sure that experiencing this sight was unnerving for sure. Turns out that regular old rain can be fascinating too, huh? So folks, that brings us to the end of today's top 10 list of the weirdest things that have fallen from the sky. We hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please show us that you want to see more by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, and remembering to click the notification bell for the latest uploads from Thump. Which number on our list was your favourite, or worst nightmare? For me, I definitely wouldn't complain about it raining money, and I think spiders falling from the sky would be my worst nightmare. Let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.